For the longest time, if you were to ask me, Timmy, what is the best sounding mid-range of all time out of every IEM that you've ever listened, I might have answered along the line of Studio 4, the RSV maybe, Oracle Mark 1, Monarch Mark 2. Well, that's all changing now. Introducing Mega 5 EST by High Senior, one of the most hyped up IEM of 2024, and I'm here to tell you guys today that the hype is absolutely warranted. Let's jump into the review. Hey friends, Timmy, welcome back to our video on Giz Audio. Today we have a review of the High Senior Mega 5 EST. We're gonna go over the pros and the cons, but before we jump into any of that, look at this very beautiful photo taken by my good friend Listener. And if you guys do not know who Listener is, you should know him, and I'll link his review of the Mega 5 EST in the comment section below as well. So please go check him out to cover up the fact that I'm blatantly stealing this photo to use in this video. Thanks, Griff. Back to the Mega 5 EST now with the tuning. Now this is tuned very balanced. There's bass boost, yes, but it's not boosted in a way that is anywhere near distracting, if you know what I mean. Like, it's more focused towards the sub bass area. The mid bass is there. There's quite a good presence, but it's not crowding the lower mid. The mid range, as I allude to you guys in the beginning of the video, is phenomenal. Probably the best mid range on the market right now. At least I think it's better mid-range than the Monarch Mark II, the Oracle Mark 1, the Studio 4, the RSV, all the very, very good mid-range that I've praised throughout the years. I think the Mega 5 EST does it better. Mainly because it gives a correct amount of heft and natural warmth to male vocals, while at the same time not sacrificing any natural energy that you need in female vocals. So you get the best of both worlds here, whereas the other IEMs I just mentioned do better in the female vocal department. Male vocals tend to be a little bit too clean and maybe in the background on some sets, but on the Mega 5 EST, you get both of that. You get really clean and energetic female vocals, but at the same time, male vocals are not sacrificed. And the benefit is not only with male vocals, of course. Any other instruments that live in this lower ranges that needs a bit of heft to sound good, like guitars, bass guitars, they sound better on the Mega 5 EST than the other IEMs that I just mentioned as well. Moving on to treble, I would say is rather smooth and natural sounding for the most part. My small nitpick is that maybe it's just a touch like a 1 dB, 1.5 dB too much. So in this case, what it does is it causes timbre to sound slightly a bit scratchy. It actually reminds me of the timbre of the Oracle Mark 1. Back then, I called it the EST timbre, where it sounds a little bit dry, a little bit wispy in a way. The Mega 5 EST has that quality as well. But again, it's very, very small nitpick. In fact, I don't think most people are even gonna notice this little bit of dry timbre. It's that small. The treble overall is very well done, is very smooth, and also nicely extending. So Timmy, that was a lot of praise for this IEM, right? It can't possibly be that good. Well, depends on what you want. There's a big con in this IEM if you're the type of listener who wants something, say, exciting, because this is great. It's natural. It's the most normal sounding IEM I've heard in a while, especially in the mid-range, but at the same time, it's also not the most exciting sounding IEM. Like I said, the bass is there. You can feel it, but it's not really excitingly thumpy. The treble is not really highlighting anything too exciting. It sounds nice and natural, like I said. But it doesn't really bring up any wow factor micro nuances or any heady kind of soundstage or anything like that. Vocals are fantastically normal, but at the same time, they're neither forward or backward. So yes, a very normal sounding set, which is a huge praise because normal is hard to do, but it does sacrifice excitement. Oftentimes when I listen to music of the Mega 5 EST, I would forget that I'm listening to music of the Mega 5 EST. I would be doing other errands or other things, and those would take my attention away from the music itself, because it is just that. It's not very attention grabbing to me. Like, it doesn't pull my attention back to the music. Like, a new song comes on and I barely even notice a new song comes on. Whereas if I'm using other IEMs that are maybe more exciting, when a new song comes on or when a certain part of a song hits, I would feel it, I would bob my head, I would go like, yeah man, that sounds freaking epic. But on the Mega 5 EST, I never had any of those moments. And to be clear, none of those were big cons or a knock on the Mega 5 EST. Is more so preference. If you want something that is normal sounding, then Mega 5 EST is your #1 pick. You don't need to look any further. But if you want something more exciting, maybe the Mega 5 EST would leave you wanting a little bit more. Technical performance time, let's bring up my scale right here, and I would say the Mega 5 EST lands right around B3-ish, Blessing 3, maybe a little bit less. The biggest reason it's ranked right here is it lacks overall incisiveness. Like, each note hits are not as distinct as I would want across the board, whether it's the bass notes, the mid-range notes, the treble notes, they're all hitting a little bit on the softer side for what I would want for the price. Everything else in the tech department of the Mega 5 EST is great. Soundstage or perceived soundstage, it's great. Instrumental separation, imaging, also great. Really, only the incisiveness that I think is just a bit too soft. Next is comparison with the other IEMs on the market, and the first one being the DA Audio Hive 4. Now, the Hive 4 and Mega 5 EST share some similarities, but I would say the Hive 4 is decisively more exciting, more U-shaped, if you will. The bass comes across stronger on the Hive 4, and also the treble region comes across slightly spicier on the Hive 4 as well. So if you take the Mega 5 EST and you make it more exciting, I guess, with the sacrifice of some naturalness, then you would get something similar to the Hive 4. And the naturalness that's being sacrificed is in the mid-range. The mid-range on the Hive 4 doesn't sound as good as on the Mega 5 EST. Same goes with the timbre as well. The timbre on the Mega 5 EST sound better. However, technical performance-wise, I think some of you guys might prefer the Hive 4 over the Mega 5 EST. But overall, I would pick the Mega 5 EST 10 times out of 10 over the Hive 4 just for the superior mid-range alone. Versus the Dusk analog, I would say the Dusk sounds more incisive across the board, especially in the bass. The bass sounds snappier. The treble details, especially micro nuances, come across more apparent on the Dusk as well. The only area where I like the Mega 5 EST more is in the mid-range, and I like it quite significantly more because it sounds just that much more natural. It doesn't have the same kind of, I wouldn't call issue, but the same kind of qualities that older school tunings have, like male vocals being too clean, too in the background, etc. Versus the default DSP tuning. Now, before we get into this, there's a topic of fairness to talk about as well, because this tuning was achieved with DSP, but it is DSP/EQ that comes with it out of the box as well. So I don't know where this gray area kind of lines up here. Some of you guys might be in the camp of, hey, you shouldn't compare analog tuning with DSP tuning, it's not fair. And some of you might want that comparison anyway because you guys are thinking about which one to purchase. So you guys decide the right and wrong on that gray area. I'm just gonna do this comparison, all right? So versus the Dusk default DSP tuning, I would say they're more like similar, but I do still prefer the mid-range of the Mega 5 EST. Female vocals come across just a bit more clear on the Mega 5 EST versus the Dusk DSP default. But at the same time, the Mega 5 EST is also like $200 more than the Dusk. So value for money wise, absolutely the Dusk. And for me, even though I said I prefer the Mega 5 EST slightly bit over the Dusk, that's the thing, it's only slightly bit over the Dusk. Last comparison is with the Pilgrim from Elysian. Now when it comes to technical performance, the Pilgrim easily wins. It sounds a lot more incisive across the board. But when it comes to tuning, the Mega 5 EST also easily wins because it sounds a lot more natural across the board. Between the two, I think they're very different. I would say I still pick the Mega 5 EST over the Pilgrim because the tuning is just that much better to me. But if you're looking for the Elysian excitement, I guess, then I would still pick the Pilgrim. Final verdict time for the Mega 5 EST, and it gets a big green thumbs up. That mid-range is just something to die for. It is one of the most beautiful mid-range I've ever heard. And the overall tuning as a whole has very few things that I can nitpick on, and nothing at all that is a huge detraction or a huge con in any way. Final grade for the Mega 5 EST, almost forgot to do that, is an A+, a very high A+, because I almost put it in S-, but I feel like it needs a bit more details to, you know, deserve to be an S tier IEM. So A+, a very high one, but with an additional star for being the best mid-range currently that I've tested. All right, that's it for this review today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.